Okay, good morning, everybody. I think we're recording now. We're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, welcome everybody to the meeting of League City Toastmasters. I'm glad that each of you are here today. I recognize many of the people who are in attendance of our meeting today, but I do see one person that I don't immediately recognize, and that's Pamela McCown. And Elizabeth, I believe you're the one that invited Pamela to our meeting. Would you like to introduce her to the club?
Absolutely. Thank you, Toastmaster Livingston. I would love to introduce you to the godmother of District 56. She's quite the most spectacular Toastmaster I've ever met. She is actually one of the two first Toastmasters I met in my Toastmaster journey last year. She introduced me to Toastmasters during a lunch and learn, and her name is Pamela McCown. She is a former board of directors of Toastmasters International. She has served in multiple roles throughout many years, and by now she could most likely have 50 DTMs of all the different speeches and activities and conferences and world international conferences she's attended. Please welcome our Toastmaster of the day, Pamela McCown.
All right. Welcome.
Good morning, League City Toastmasters. So great to see you all here this morning. I normally am still in bed at this time. During this pandemic, I've gotten into a really bad habit of sleeping in. But this morning, I popped my eyes open at 5:30, so I thought that was a sign that I needed to go to a Toastmasters meeting. And then I saw an email from Elizabeth that says, hey, there's a Toastmasters meeting at 8:30. So here I am.
Wonderful.
Today we have a great lineup for you here at League City Toastmasters. The timer today is going to be Scott Livingston. The grammarian is Aaron Peshek. I'm going to say Peshek. The counter of the day is Kelly King. Ballot counter is Megan Lemaster. And who's our general evaluator?
That
Alicia
is Alicia.
Alicia. All right. So I don't know what your protocol is here, but sometimes we turn it over to the general evaluator to introduce the team and let them tell us what their duties are. Is that what you do?
I believe we usually have the Toastmaster do that.
All right. So for the timer, you're going to make sure that everybody has a good time, right, Scott? And how are you going to signal us?
So I have a screen in the back that will present the colors. And basically as the Toastmaster, as the timer, my role is to track time for each segment and participant in the meeting. The green card will be signaled when the qualifying time has been reached. At midpoint, a yellow card will be presented in the background of my screen, and then a red card with 30 seconds remaining. After 30 seconds, a participant is disqualified, and I will give a timer's report after each meeting segment. Thank you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Scott. Next up is the counter. Kelly King, tell us what you're going to be doing for us today in your listening role. Your audio is muted, Kelly.
For some reason, my space bar is not working like it should anymore. Okay, so hi, I'm Kelly King, and I will be your counter today. My role as counter is to note words and sounds used as a crutch or pause filler by anyone who speaks during the meeting. The use of interjections such as and, well, but, so, like, you know, as well as sounds like or tongue clicks will be tallied. I will also note double clutches, which are words or phrases that are repeated. For example, I, or this means, this means. These injections generally disrupt the flow of speech and make the speech less interesting. At the end of the meeting, I will report the number of times that each speaker used these expressions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kelly. Right, just a little bit of protocol for the meeting. If you are speaking, you may enable your audio. If you are not speaking, please disable it or mute it so that we don't have a lot of background noise from the gallery. Thank you. Next up is our Arcana Grammarian. No, that was our Arcana Grammarian. So was there a word of the day, Madam Arcana Grammarian? Oh, that's the grammarian. So grammarian is Aaron Pesek. Sorry. Grammarian, what's the word of the day?
So the word of today is rapscallion.
Oh, rapscallion.
Rapscallion is a noun. It's a humorous, archaic word, and it means a mischievous person. So the sample in a phrase is, they were the rapscallions behind the practical joke.
All right, I'm recording the word of the day there, rapscallion. Thank you very much. And you will be listening for more than the word of the day. What else will you be reporting on?
Right, so I'm going to be listening for interesting uses of phrases, correct or improper use of grammar. I'll be taking note of that as speakers go through the day.
Thank you very much, Aaron, for that rendition of your role. Our ballot counter today is Megan Lemaster. Megan, tell us how we're going to be submitting votes to you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Toastmaster. Please use the chat function of the Zoom to send me your votes, and I will be tallying these on the official tally sheet. And at the end, I will compute the results and let everyone know who has won. And if there is a tie, I will be the tiebreaker. And please be mindful of your time, as any contestants will be disqualified for speaking overtime or under time. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. And make sure when you do that chat that it's not a chat to everyone. Please choose Megan's name in the list of participants so that that will be a private chat and the vote will be secret. Thank you. And now we are ready for the prepared speeches, the P in our Toastmasters pie. We have prepared speeches, impromptu speeches, and evaluations, which makes Toastmasters pie for us today. The prepared speaker, first speaker today is Aaron Pesek. Aaron is working in Pathways, I think, hopefully. He did not choose a manual project on your agenda, but I'm hoping he's doing a Pathways project, because friends don't let friends give non-manual project speeches. Please welcome, with his title, Stressed Out Again, Mr. Aaron Pesek.
Thank you, Pamela. Hey, Scott, before I get started, I can't see you in the Brady Bunch squares. So if I get to the red, can you just say time for me? Because I can't see the yellow or the green background.
You might give him audibles green, green, yellow,
Okay.
yellow, red, red at the appropriate times.
Okay, yes, that's what I'll do. I'll give you an audible, you bet. You give me just a second to go to my clock here.
Sure.
Well, okay, I'm set. Just whenever you are. Take a breath and start when you're ready.
Thank you, Pamela. Good morning, Toastmasters. And thank you, everyone, for being here today. The name of my talk today is called Stressed Out Again. The last time I spoke a few weeks ago, it was about stress, how in our busy everyday world, we're encountering so much stress with everything that's going on around us with the pandemic and lockdowns and the unrest that we're experiencing right now. And I talked about how you can manage stress by using certain tools, including prayer and faith, block breathing, and training yourself into having a positive mindset. So in this speech, I'm going to take a little bit of a different angle and look at more of the physical effects that stress can have on the body. We talked about the mental and psychological effects that stress can have in the last talk. This one's going to be more about the physical impacts. So over time, the physical damage that stress can cause can be even more damaging than the mental or emotional effects. In 2011, a survey on stress conducted by the American Psychological Association showed that close to a quarter of the people said that their stress was extreme. And almost 40% of the people said their stress had gone up in the past year. 44% said that their stress had increased over the last 5 years. And overall, respondents agreed that chronic stress regularly impacted their quality of life in a negative way. And almost 66% of the people said that the level of stress impacts both their psychological and physical health. And those people are right. Researchers have suggested that though stress is natural, the persistent levels we face in our electronic, connected, pandemic, and uncertain world is where psychological and physical damage can occur. Over time, the intensity of stress and trying to cope with it all wears down the body. And one of the products of stress that is released into the body over time is cortisol. And cortisol is a hormone that can have a negative effect over constant use, over constant release. So we're going to talk about 5 different areas where the stress physically affects the body: the brain, the pituitary gland, the heart, appetite, and the aging process. So for the brain, and I talked about it before, when you're stressed out, the logic and reasoning parts of the brain don't function optimally. The nervous system increases the heart rate, blood flows away from the brain, and prompts glands to flood the body with cortisol. If this alarm system is set off too often, the physical impacts can include disruption of sleep cycles, which leads to moodiness, memory loss, and inability to focus. So the pituitary gland, sometimes called the master gland, controls most of the other glands in the body, regulating functions that include body temperature, the thyroid, and urine production, which is why you get the sweaty palms, and you often need to go to the bathroom when you're feeling nervous. So when responding to stress, the pituitary creates hormones which cause the adrenal gland, which produces cortisol. So that cortisol goes back into the system, and it increases blood pressure and pulls glucose and fat from body tissues. It brings it into the bloodstream, so that increases your energy, but it's also one of the reasons why you experience a decrease in appetite when you're in the middle of a stressful situation. So in the heart, as blood vessels constrict, the higher blood pressure makes it harder for the heart to pump blood. Fatty acids are released into the bloodstream and can lead to an overproduction of the low density cholesterol, the LDL cholesterol, and that's the bad kind of cholesterol. The LDL inflames arteries and contributes to dangerous plaque buildup in the artery walls, and also inflames the arterial walls. Over time, that inflammation and plaque buildup can increase the risk for heart attack. So for the appetite, cortisol makes another appearance here. As the body produces it, you feel a suppression of your appetite in the midst of the stressful situation, but after that time passes, you feel a quick and sudden need of energy, and all of a sudden you're craving carbohydrates and sugars. So the cholesterol brings that extra glucose into the bloodstream, and the glucose that isn't burned off through exercise is stored as fat in your body, and mostly as abdominal fat. So in the aging process, in 2004, the University of California in San Francisco research team reported that chronic stress may play a role in shortening the tiny proteins at the end of cells that protects the genetic information that assists when cells divide.
5 minutes, 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Green.
So this information is important because it helps the cells to know their roles after they divide. And when stress increases over prolonged periods of time, the information contained at the end of those cells can become disrupted, which prevents cell division and can lead to confusion for the cells and the roles they're supposed to play. That confusion can lead to Parkinson's disease and has been indicated may lead up to early onset dementia. The loss of cells is part of the aging process, but prolonged stress can accelerate and mimic that aging process and increase cell loss. So I want to wrap up by saying that what we all know is that stress is real. We're living in a world of uncertainty, and that uncertainty and anxiety can impact our physical well-being as well as our mental and emotional health.
Yellow.
The brain, pituitary gland, heart, weight gain, and the aging process can all be impacted by high levels of stress. So use the tools and behaviors to manage stress. Prayer and faith, meditation, box breathing, and developing a positive mindset, like I mentioned before. At the same time, we need to give ourselves and others some grace. No matter what we're going through, we're only human, and we all have stress we're trying to manage. Finally, practice community. In today's world, the means of electronic connections help, but they do not replace the connection with a human being who knows you, cares about you, can help you navigate life. Because we were never meant to live life alone, and it's good to find people who can help you carry the burden. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aaron. Great speech. Appreciate your sharing your thoughts on that subject of stress and how to manage it. Great.
I have a question. I didn't catch the word of the day.
The word of the day is rapscallion.
Can you spell, please?
I cannot. The person that chose it can spell it for us.
Yeah, let me find it real quick. R-A-P.
I-R-P.
No, R is Robert. R-A-P, rap.
R-A-P.
R-P.
R-A-P. S-C-A.
S-P-A. What is
L.
that?
Aaron,
I'm
could you
sorry.
type? Aaron, could you type it to
Just
her?
type it in the chat.
All
Yeah,
of us in chat.
in the chat, please.
What
That
is
would be
that?
easier. Thank you for that suggestion. I might have taken a little while. All right, thank you so much. And now we move on to our next speaker. And this speaker is someone you know well. She's your CLIP coach. She's also going to be an area director in the new year. She is a very dynamic speaker. I have been to many of her paid speaking sessions, and I look forward to hearing Elizabeth Ruiz with her Pathways Presentation Mastery Project, Reflect on Your Path for the timer. Her timing is 10 to 12. Green will be at 10, yellow at 11, and red at 12.
Yes, and before you get started, Elizabeth, can you email me your evaluation sheet, or do you want me to just use a generic one?
I can email it to you now, Scott, or if you are on our agenda, all you do is go to speaker 3 and you click on evaluation, and the form is right there.
The form is right there in the agenda for you.
Okay, the problem is I download the agenda into the PDF.
Are you on
Okay.
our League City Toastmaster site?
I downloaded it, the agenda, and made it a PDF. I mean,
Okay,
I could,
so you're not on the site right now.
no,
All right, that's where the evaluators can get the evaluation.
I can, here, let me go pick it up. That's probably good practice. Just give me about 30 seconds to go pick it up.
Okay.
All right. And so when you pick a project, when you sign up for a speech and you choose a project that you're going to be presenting in Pathways, it will give the project objective file and the evaluation file. So that's why you always want to go ahead and fill that out when you're the speaker and choose that when it says manual path project. It also gives the timer the time for your speech. So if you don't do that, we don't know what your timing is, and we don't know what your project is, and we don't have your evaluation form. So there's always a why behind the things that we do in Toastmasters, and that's the why for filling out what manual projects you have so that we get your evaluation form and that we know that what your timing for your speech is. There's also a box there for your introduction so that the Toastmaster can have an introduction for the speakers. So when you're the speaker, that's your objective is to fill out your project to show us your timing and also fill out your speaker introduction. Now, I'm sure that Elizabeth put an introduction into the League City Toastmasters website, but I don't have access to that. So I'm just going to tell you that she's working on Presentation Mastery Level 5, Reflect on Your Path. It's a 10 to 12 minute speech, and the title of the speech is Reflection. Please help me welcome Elizabeth Ruiz.
Thank you, Toastmaster McCown. Welcome, League City Toastmasters and our guest, Pamela McCown. By a raise of hands, who here has activated or completed Presentation Mastery? Raise your hand. Excellent. Oh, great. Great. You will enjoy this journey as I share the faux pas as well as the humorous sides of this Pathways program. Presentation Mastery is under the management program. I highly recommend Presentation Mastery if you do get a chance to take another Pathways. Why is this? There's a great little nugget of fun at the end of Presentation Mastery. You will have so much fun doing it. I did not think I would enjoy it as much. When I first read it, I thought, oh no, there is no way I am going to be able to deal with this. I did it, and it was the most fun. You will absolutely love it. But I won't tell you that until a few more minutes from now. This Pathways, I have grown tremendously. Why, do you say? Well, the growth that you experience in Presentation Mastery, it forces you to understand your body language. Who here knows that body language is actually more than verbal? So nonverbal communication is about 76% more than verbal communication. Presentation mastery helps you grow in your body language skills. It is imperative to learn, especially even in the virtual world. In a virtual world, we are really looking right at you. Unless we're looking down doing something else, it is so important to understand body language. When you are in a virtual setting, I've noticed a few things in body language. For example, some people might swivel their chair. Some people might look up and think while they're talking. Body language is very important. You will grow tremendously in presentation mastery when you learn the body language part of presentation mastery. What is the second one? Effective communication and persuasive speaking. I loved this part in presentation mastery. It helped me tremendously grow in my persuasive speaking. It helps you get straight to the point. It helps you master exactly what you want to accomplish in your speaking. Who here has ever been in a speech, listened to a conference or a workshop, and it immediately made you want to get up out of your seat and go do the call to action? That, my fellow Toastmasters, is persuasive speaking. This Pathways program, Presentation Mastery, will help you learn how to persuasively nudge someone to do something. And as always, in any speech, a call to action is imperative at the very end. And that is why Pathways Presentation Mastery will help you master that. Another one is my favorite. It is called Managing a Difficult Audience. I would love to share a story with you, but just quickly though, by a raise of hands, who here has ever spoken to an audience that was a difficult audience? And I'm saying anything from cell phones going off to people yawning to to people talking. Some people look at you and they look like a deer in headlights. They're not getting it and you don't know what to do. This is a difficult audience. And this happens every time you speak anywhere, whether it's a large audience or a small audience. As our first speaker and spoke about his speech, people have internal situations going on. We never know what our audience is going through. This is so important to understand when you're learning how to manage a difficult audience in the presentation mastery program. You understand that we all have things going on outside of our personal and professional lives, things that we're thinking about as we're sitting here watching a speaker speak. And your number one goal is to know your audience. It is so important to understand who your audience is. We do not have crystal balls. We do not mind read. Therefore, we cannot understand what is going on in the minds of our audience. But we can learn to master our body language. We can learn how to manage difficult audiences. We can learn how to effectively communicate in a persuasive style of language. And this, my fellow Toastmasters, is what you will learn and grow in presentation mastery. I cannot rate it high enough. It is my favorite pathways, although I'll let you in on a little secret. It's only my second pathways. There are 11 pathways. For now, this is my favorite one. I love it. Now, let's get back to my story. What happens when you arrive late to a speech? Something can happen and it will happen. You will learn that you missed out on a few little tidbits. And this is what happened to me during my managing a difficult audience speech. Managing a difficult audience speech is a lengthy a lengthy speech. It takes a lot of preparation behind the scenes before the club meeting starts. Now, for those of you who do not know what this is, I will share this with you. In presentation mastery, you receive a sheet of paper that you must give to the Toastmaster before the club meeting. This Toastmaster needs to know who will be attending the club meeting. They will email the members and give them scripts of how to be a disruptive audience member. You will not know who they will be during your speech, but they will be anything from talking to another person, answering a phone call, being silent and not answering your questions, ignoring you, and being extremely disruptive by asking multiple questions over and over. And then our favorite, at least it's my favorite, not really, but the one who always happens to pop up is a disruptive speaker who constantly is asking questions over and over and over while you are trying to speak. Imagine speaking for 10 minutes and you have all this disruption going on. How do you manage it? Presentation mastery will help you learn how to manage a disruptive audience. You will grow tremendously. When this speech happened last month, one of our audience members arrived late. They did not know what was about to happen. The Toastmaster who introduced my speech shared what the speech was about. In presentation mastery, at the speech, you are not evaluated on the topic of your speech. You're evaluated on how well you handled a disruptive audience. Let me share a few little tidbits on this. It was so much fun. I started speaking about pathways actually, and every few, I would say every 15 seconds to 30 seconds, someone from Zoom would pop into my speaking and they would ask me a question. Sometimes two audios would come on and they would start having a conversation while I was speaking. How do you handle this? Presentation mastery, how to manage a disruptive audience, will teach you this. It will help you practice and hone your skills. As this was going on, it was utter chaos. We were all laughing except one person. Guess who that was? The one who arrived late. She was appalled. She was shocked. She was stunned. You could tell she was about to burst open, and she did. She unmuted herself and she went on a tirade telling everyone in the Zoom, Elizabeth is trying to speak. You need to stop.
Green.
This is not how a Zoom meeting goes. We couldn't stop laughing. I couldn't stop speaking. It was so funny. The more we had the disruptions, the more she became so upset. And I finally had to stop the speech and share with her what was going on. I would like to leave you with this. One, make sure you take presentation mastery. You will never regret it. Two, don't be late to meetings because you never know what you might miss. And three, thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. Thank you. Toastmaster, back to you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. That was great. And I have been in one of those difficult situations on more than one occasion. At a demo meeting, I was presenting to a room full, and I'm talking about 70 people of engineers. And they just sat there listening to every word, but not giving me any indication that they were getting any of it. I finally said, what is going on here? I said, you guys are making me terribly uncomfortable. Are you engineers? And they all said, I said, who in the room here is an engineer? And I knew they all were. And they all raised their hands. I said, okay, well, I feel better now. I'm not taking it personally that you're giving me absolutely no feedback. Well, that's part of being an audience participant. Please give the speaker some indication that you're listening and that you agree or disagree with whatever they're saying. Even in a Zoom call, you can do that. This is very unnerving to the speaker if you don't. All right, thank you, Elizabeth, for that speech. And now it is time to hear the timer report on our speakers. Scott, how did they do on their time?
So Aaron qualified at 6 minutes and 56 seconds. Elizabeth qualified at 10 minutes and 45 seconds.
All right, now that we have the timing figured out and know that none of the speakers disqualified on time, let's give a minute timer. Give us a minute for the vote. Please send a private chat over to Megan, your ballot counter. She is listed on your screen as ballot counter. If you pull up the chat, you can search for her under ballot counter. Just click on the everyone, and instead of and find ballot counter, click on Megan, and then you'll be sending a private chat to Megan for your vote for the speaker. And your choices are Aaron or Elizabeth. Signal me at 1 minute, Mr. Timer.
About 15 more seconds.
All right. You can also send a note in private chat to your speakers by doing the same thing. Click on the chat and choose Aaron or Elizabeth and send them your feedback. All right, did we get to 1 minute? Scott?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sorry for speaking over you there. All right, now we're ready for the table topics, impromptu speaking, the eye in the pie of the Toastmasters meeting. And to lead us in that, we have Aaron, is that you? That's the
Yeah,
topic.
that's me.
All right, we have Aaron Peshek. Please welcome Aaron.
Thank you. Thank you, Pamela. Hey, Scott, how are we doing on time with the meeting?
We probably have about 8 minutes. That's just a
Okay.
guesstimation to spend on table topics.
Okay,
8 or 10
So-
max.
sure.
So maybe 3 questions?
What's that?
She's
I'm
saying
going to
that.
recommend 3 questions.
3 questions, okay. So I'll do it this way. So I am a reporter from the Houston Chronicle, and I'm excited to learn that the League City Toastmasters have decided to go climbing Mount Everest together. So Scott, can you please tell me a little bit more of the reasons why behind the Toastmasters League City has decided to go climb Mount Everest?
So League City Toastmasters has decided to go out and climb Mount Everest because we have a new club coach, and she believes that the more that we strive, the better that we become. And so she likes to give us these extraordinary goals. And so she wants to build teammanship among all of our new officers. And so she believes in reaching to greater heights. And so she challenged us. She said, let's do a team building activity and let's go out and do something extraordinary, because you live up to your expectations that you have of yourself. So she challenged us to climb up Mount Everest. And so we did this as a team building exercise. We flew over to Nepal. We hired some Sherpas. We bought our gear, and we learned a lot of things about ourselves in preparation for Mount Everest. We climbed up the mountain. We didn't lose anybody. We slid down the mountain. We escaped all kinds of storms. We thought we were going to lose somebody. We almost got stuck on top of the mountain, but we made it back down. We were in a warming hut, and we talked about our club's success plan. And after climbing Mount Everest, filling out that club success plan was nothing. So we met a bunch of rapscallions along the way on our trip up to the top of Mount Everest, but it was a rewarding experience that made League City Toastmasters what it is today. That's why we chose to climb Mount Everest.
Wow, thanks you, Scott. That's a really great explanation. I love the use of the word rapscallion in there. That's fantastic. So Luann, I understand that base camps are a very important part of the trip when you're climbing Mount Everest. Can you tell me a little bit more about base camps and what life is like in base camp when you're on that journey?
I would love nothing more this morning than to share my deep knowledge of base camps, you rapscallion, Aaron. So I think that base camps would be your pushing off point, your anchor, if you would, in the cold and rocky mountains that you're climbing, even though it isn't, in fact, the Rocky Mountains. That would be much more convenient to travel to. I think the base camp would be important to us because we really need to have them be in touch with us. We need them to know that we're okay. Otherwise, they have to come looking for us. So I hope that none of you are planning on any side excursions, because it would only make it more difficult for our really, really amazing people at our base camp that are there to help us. As Scott said, of course, we would just do a great job with our team building and Elizabeth, this is all your idea? My goodness. But I think that all in all, base camp, super important. Thank you so much, Aaron.
Appreciate that, Luann. So Kelly, last question for this topic. So you went to, or you're going to Mount Everest. How do you go about selecting the equipment you're going to use when you're taking on such an epic journey?
That's an excellent question, Aaron. And I'd like to address that by telling you a little bit about how bougie I am and how many rapscallions I've met along the way. I would make certain that I selected all the creature comforts of home, and then I would assign and delegate multiple of my fellow Toastmasters to help carry them up that mountain, because I think we would all be better people for it. And I would certainly enjoy the fruits of their labor. Now you're learning a little bit about me. I'm going to have my creature comforts, coffee, definite. Creamer, yes. My pillow, for sure. Probably going to need a couple of carabiners and some rope because we are climbing this mountain together. If I could find a way to bring cards and games, I'd do that too, because we would need to entertain ourselves at base camp, wherever we set that up along that mountain.
Green.
And we would certainly need to bring along all of our evaluation forms, because we would need to practice our speaking and our breath control. That's what I would pack and bring up that mountain as we climb Everest together. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm guessing the thin air would be very important for breath control. So that'd be a very, very important part of the journey. So do we have time for one more, or does that wrap it up?
Hold on just a second. Let me look. I think we have time for one more.
All right. So Megan, how do you prepare for the weather that you're going to encounter when you're climbing Mount Everest?
Ooh, well, being here in Houston, we would be facing quite a shock to the system especially as we ascend the mountain. The air grows thinner, the weather gets worse and worse. So we would probably have to spend a good amount of time at base camp in order to first acclimate to the altitude. Definitely pack a lot of warm, fluffy clothing. I would really be interested in the advice of our many Sherpas. We would need many, as Kelly pointed out, because Kelly, we can't carry all your creamer and your coffee. So we will need a bunch of Sherpas. So we can talk to them. They've lived there their entire lives. We can maybe get some information, some tips. Also read some blogs. Other people have done this. We're not the first people to climb Mount Everest. So look and see, get information from people who've been there, done that. Group trip to REI, definitely, before we go. Talk to those folks. They definitely know what they're doing when it comes to outdoor equipment and warm sleeping bags. But those are some basic beginner tips of how we would prepare to face that very, very difficult weather. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. This is going to be a great article. It'll be out in a few weeks on HoustonChronicle.com. Really appreciate it. Pamela, back to you.
Thank you, Aaron, for that very engaging table topics and Mount Everest trip. I'm surprised that no one equated base camp to base camp and pathway. I'm known for every table topics answer is Toastmasters. So I try to make a connection from the question to the answer of Toastmasters. Because I'm not as good at table topics as you guys are, and I know more about Toastmasters than anything else. So thank you all for your responses. Timer, how did they do on time? Did everyone qualify?
Yes, everyone qualified. Scott with 135, Luann with 110, Kelly with 129, Megan with 126.
Right, now it's time for the vote. Again, go to chat, choose your ballot counter, and pick a name for best table topic. You had the Mount Everest trip review from Scott. He used the word of the day. Luann had just what is base camp, and she also used the word of the day. Kelly was selecting the equipment, and Megan was hiring the Sherpas and telling us how to prepare for the cold. So those are your choices. You have Scott, Luann, Kelly, and Megan. And timer, give me 1 minute for them to cast their vote.
So it's been 30 seconds, but I didn't know when to start the clock. So I think we'll give them another 20 seconds. Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Time.
All right, we are doing very well on time. Thank you, Mr. Timer, for keeping us on track and on time. Now we move into the E and the pie. We've had the P for prepared speeches. We've had the I for impromptu speaking. And now it's time for the evaluation speakers. To introduce these evaluators, I call upon General Evaluator Alicia to introduce our evaluators of the day. Please welcome Alicia. Alicia, you need to unmute. And your first evaluator, I believe, is Luann.
The evaluators of the day are Megan? No, Aaron? Oh, I don't remember. Sorry.
First Luann and then Scott.
Yes.
Luann and Scott. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, Alicia.
Oh, you're welcome.
So today I had the pleasure of evaluating Aaron Peshek. His topic was stressed out again, a very timely and pertinent topic, I would say. Aaron, for clarity, I gave you a 5. You always communicate well with us all. We have no problem understanding you. For vocal variety, I chose a 4, only because we could hear you well, but I'm sure that there's always some room for improvement for all of us in changing our ups and downs of our voices. Eye contact. Now that's always interesting in Zoom, isn't it now? I'd say you did as well as we can. I gave you a 5. You did as well as we can in Zoom. And I remind us all to look into the little dot in the top of the camera instead of looking at the person in the Brady Bunch style configuration of boxes. Gestures, you did well with your hands, no magic tricks, but I think the gestures were a 5. Audience awareness, you knew we were here. We all fit into the cubes. You had a 5. Comfort level with speaking, I'd say a 4. Interest was a 4 plus. While it wasn't humorous, I felt that it was interesting and important for us to know, however sobering. Topic, again, it was a pertinent topic through this pandemic time. I was glad that you chose it for us. Maybe we all learned more about stressing out. All in all, I think that you were well prepared. You didn't seem to be reading. You seemed well prepared. It was very interesting for us to learn about this topic, especially now because there's the pandemic, and here we are speaking at Toastmasters, and we always feel a little bit of stress or nerves as that happens. I think that your background was very clean, so that made a very nice presentation. I didn't notice any rascallion in the background, you know, giving you bunny ears or anything like that. It was very nice.
You're past green.
You seem, what you want to work on, you seem to be standing, but maybe you're swaying a little in your chair. If it was in person, it wouldn't be noticeable, but again, during our Zoom platform, it's a little bit different. The only thing I could think of to challenge yourself is just continue on your pathways, practicing what we all learn along the way. I think it was very well done. Thank you, Erin. Thank you, Erin.
Thank you, Luann. Thank you. Yeah, I was standing the entire time. I was rocking back and forth.
Back to you, General Evaluator, to introduce the next evaluator.
The next evaluator is Scott. Scott, you are going to evaluate
Elizabeth, yes.
Elizabeth, yeah.
Yes, okay. So Elizabeth, you did a really great job on the speech. It certainly shows that you've been in Toastmasters for a while and that you've accomplished quite a bit in your time during Toastmasters. You excelled at making fantastic eye contact. You had extraordinary explanations. You had prepared examples. You had really good nonverbal communication. You had really good eye contact, and I underscore the eye contact because I could probably count on one hand the number of times that you looked away from the camera, and I think that was maybe 1, 2, or 3 times. So the eye contact was extraordinary. You may want to work on, and sitting as an observer, I found it very difficult to fill out this block. But as I was listening to your examples, and of course it's a 10 to 12 minute speech, so I started thinking, okay, what can you do to maybe break it up or to make it more interesting and intriguing? So not to take away from the body language and not to take away from that positive communication, but other things that might be positive and constructive would be things like adding cartoons, adding pictures, illustrations, things that are funny that would show people what a disruptive audience looks like, things like that. In terms of challenging yourself, other than using pictures and illustrations, that's the only thing I could possibly imagine. You had the speech memorized, which was extraordinary, and your eye contact, again, was off the charts. For spoken language, I gave you a 5. For vocal variety, I gave you a 4. For eye contact, gave you a 5. Gestures, gave you a 5. Audience awareness, gave you a 5. Comfort level, gave you a 5. Interest, gave you a 5. I do not recall hearing the word of the day, but that has nothing to do with the quality of your speech. It was extraordinary, it was well prepared, it was compelling, it was interesting, it was encouraging, it was inspirational. Thought you did a great job. Thank you, Elizabeth. Back to you, Alicia.
Thank you.
Okay, so now is the general evaluator, right?
Yes, you'll call on your reports for evaluators, their time, and vote for best evaluator.
Is my turn as the general evaluator now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I am happy to be the general evaluator today. It was a very interesting meeting. The Zoom was okay, no problem at all. the guest was welcome, Pamela. So good to meet you. Yes, I am really impressed with you, and you were the Toastmaster of the meeting. Also, very prepared, like you were introduced by Elizabeth. Very prepared. You have a lot of experience. We can see that. So it was awesome. The meeting had started at time and have a very nice beginning without any conflict, anything. Everybody was properly introduced. And then we have the two presentations, wonderful presentation, both different and very important for us to see different styles of presentations. So then we have the table topics, awesome, really good. I was impressed around with the questions. Very interesting questions and very according with this time and the time that we are going through, so difficult and so personal because we are by ourselves. And the four answers very audacious. The word of the day was difficult. I can tell that. Rascallion. So in general, it was a wonderful meeting. Then the grammarian gave the report perfectly, the timer. You have to teach us, Scott, how to do that. It is awesome. And the counter also. So this is all I have, all my notes for the general evaluation.
Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you.
What's the time, Scott, for the evaluators? You need to unmute.
Sorry, green light at 2, yellow light at 2.5, red light at 3.
All right, so what was their time? Didn't we already have the evaluations?
Yes, so Luann qualified at 2.5, and part of that was my fault because I had some technical difficulties. But she qualified at 2.5. Scott qualified at 2:20, and Alicia qualified at 2:25.
All right, and now it's time to cast your ballot. Send it in a private chat to Megan. If you'll just click on chat, choose ballot counter, and send your vote either for Luann or Scott for best evaluator. And I don't believe we've heard the reports of the counter and the grammarian. I call on Kelly King first for counter report, if you will.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. We will start today's with our Toastmaster, Madam Toastmaster Pamela McCown. Pamela, you had 1 and, 2 so's, and 1 tongue click. Scott, our timer, your favorite word seemed to be and. You had 3 buts. And, well, it's a close tie between and so, actually. And I did note that that's because you tended to say and so. And so was a phrase that you used. Well, there's one of mine. And I have next, Alicia. Alicia, you had 2 ands, 5 so's, 2 very varies as your double clutch, and your favorite seemed to be or
I know that.
And Erin, you are next with 3 ands, 4 so's, and 2 ers. Elizabeth, I noted throughout the entire meeting, your favorite word tended to be and, but there were only 5 and no others. Well done. Luann, well done. 1 but, 1 so. And Megan, when you did your table topic, I was so interested in the table topic. I didn't note anything for you. Sorry. And I could tell you I've already heard myself just speaking now, I've said at least one or two and so's, ers, ahs in each category. So thank you so much. Done.
Thank you, Kelly, for that entertaining report. And now we call on the grammarian who will tell us about interesting words and phrases and the use of the word of the day. Please welcome Aaron.
Thank you, Pamela. So rapscallion was the word of the day, and no one was acting like a rapscallion today, which was very good. But we had a lot of people using the word, which was also very good. So I had Kelly, Scott, Luann, and then Alicia worked it in as she was giving her evaluation too. So good job, everybody, on using the word of the day. And I just threw it in there at the last minute as a Hail Mary and got it in. So if I missed it from Pamela and Elizabeth, I apologize, I did not hear it, or from you, Megan. Let's see, also there was an interesting word that Kelly used in her table topic. I couldn't quite get it. Can you repeat that? I think it was like,
It was bougie.
what is that? I don't know what that is.
Bougie, over the top, extra, prima donna.
Is that youth slang? Because I'm kind of out of the mix. I'm not
Yes.
cool anymore. Tell me all
Yes.
the time.
My
It comes
boy-
from being a pampered individual.
My boyfriend has 3 girls. Well, she just turned 13, and the other are 2 twins, 5 years old. And so we hear bougie a lot on various social media and stuff, that because we're always filtering that through the. So yes, it's a youth slang.
All right, that's why I don't know what it is. Even though I've got 2 teenage daughters, they haven't used it around me yet. So they're.
Well, now you can be hip and cool with your daughters. Call them bougie.
Yes, all right. Yeah, that'll be great. Let's see. That was really all I had about for the grammarian, the word of the day, and use of interesting and exciting words. Brand new to me, but I'm not cool, so that just goes to prove it. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Pamela.
Aaron, you're too hard on yourself. You are cool. Thank you so much. All right, so now we've had pretty much everything that we want to have in the meeting, and we are at 9:35. This meeting is supposed to go from 8:30 to 9:30.
Correct. Yes.
All right, so I will return control to whoever the presiding officer is. Is that you, Scott?
It is. So let's go back to Megan. Megan, can we have a ballot count?
Yes. So the Toastmaster of the day is Elizabeth. For table topics, it was very close. Scott, you're our table topics champion of the day. And our evaluator of the day is Luann. So congratulations, everyone. Back to you, Scott.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Wonderful job, everybody. I'm looking at the agenda. I don't want to forget anything or leave anything out.
I have one topic to just a minute. I need to work on the pathways and the agenda for now. If you can send to me your pathway and what level are you, and then also I sent yesterday the agenda for the next 3 meetings. Well, the first was today, but there are 2 meetings for the agenda. So if you can fill out your roles there, that will be a great help, because we have to start from nothing. And the pathway, we don't have, well, we have a Scott. Your information is entered, but nobody else. So we have to do these 2 things. Thank you very much, Pamela.
Kelly, did you have something you wanted to say?
Super quick. Could everybody give me your best smile? Would love to do a screenshot for our social media.
Look at the camera.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, everybody. So we're going to wrap it up. Elizabeth, if you and I can make a meeting this morning before 11, I'll send you an email, but if we can try to knock out the issues going on with Free Toast Toast, then that would provide opportunities for Megan over the weekend to do some things if she has time. Everybody heard the challenge and the request from Alicia to send her information about pathways and to sign up for roles. I was on a workshop last night. I received this information from Elizabeth. There were people from all over the world on this workshop. They talked about planning creative themes. At the end of the day, they talked about throwing a party, doing it 3 or 4 times a year. You have Christmas, you have different themes, do it over an hour and a half, have refreshments, and it's a lot of fun. It's an exciting way to throw a party and encourage people to speak and talk and bring their boyfriends or girlfriends, bring their wives and so forth. And of course, it's a fantastic opportunity for membership recruitment. So we may talk a little bit more about that moving forward. Our next meeting for the officers is going to be at 3 o'clock on Thursday, July the 9th. Please make every effort to attend that meeting so we can knock out the Club Success program. We're going to provide homework between now and then so that each officer can finish their assignment, and then we'll talk about it and make it final at 3 o'clock on July the 9th. Okay, everybody, we'll see you on July the 9th, and then again, we convene for our next club meeting on July the 10th. If y'all need anything, send me an email. Thanks, everybody. Signing off, okay? Thanks for staying late. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you, Pamela.
You're welcome.
Glad you came today. Thank you for participating.
Thank you.
Scott, can you call me real quick after this meeting? Give me a call and I want to talk to you about something.
Okay, yes.
Okay, bye. Thank you, Pam. See you guys later.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you.
Come back.